Now, if consulting and banking are about the same, or even if consulting is maybe slightly ahead of banking, but not by that much, and it's very, very close, then I would recommend that you go for banking first because, again, of this thing called optionality. Hey guys, if you like the content on this episode today, I want you to go and click the subscribe button to make sure that you get all of our future content as well, because I've been putting out these content probably 3 times a week and it's full of awesome investment banking recruiting advice. So I just want to make sure that you don't miss any of it. Okay? Today I want to talk about one of the most common questions that we get all the time when it comes to picking careers, which is better, investment banking or management consulting? Okay, if you even just type in investment banking or consulting into Google, you'll get 121 million results, supposedly. But even just scrolling to the first page, look at all of these articles that talk about this popular question, consulting versus banking, which is best. And so, look, there are plenty of these articles already, right? I'm not here to tell you exactly what is better and what is worse. To be honest, they're both amazing careers, amazing ways to start your careers, okay? Now, there are different factors that you should think about, like which one has the higher pay, which one has more job security, which one has better work-life balance, which one has less travel, which one is more interesting. Do you want to be a generalist or specialist? And by the way, even the articles that talk about this, like some of this stuff is subjective. It's just the author's opinion. It's not really necessarily, right or wrong. Like I don't necessarily agree with everything that this author is saying here. But the point is, there are a lot of these articles. You can go on and read them and form your own opinion, right? And talk to people that are working in the industries too. However, one thing I do want you to consider, if you are on the fence between banking and consulting, is you got to think about your optionality. Okay, so what I mean by that is, look, if consulting is your first choice by far, you should go for consulting. If banking is your first choice by far, you should go for banking. Right now, if consulting and banking are about the same, or even if consulting is maybe slightly ahead of banking, but not by that much, and it's very, very close, then I would recommend that you go for banking first because, again, of this thing called optionality. So let me explain what that means, okay? By optionality, I just mean, look, if you want to recruit for investment banking and consulting, currently, the investment banking recruiting timeline happens a lot earlier. So like if you're a college student and you want to recruit for investment banking, you have to get the junior summer internship because the way that investment banks hire is that 80 to 90% of their full-time offers go to their summer intern class. So if you don't have that junior summer internship, you have virtually no chance of getting into a top bank for full-time upon your graduation, okay? Now, to get that junior summer internship in banking, though, you have to pretty much be ready to apply about halfway through your sophomore year, because a lot of these top banks, that's when they start opening up their applications. That means that you have your first 1.5 years in college to do everything you need to do to prepare for that process, right? With consulting, the recruiting process starts a lot later. It starts for your junior. You can also get a junior summer internship, but even if you want that, you don't have to recruit for that until junior year, right? So what that means is you can actually recruit for banking first, and if banking doesn't work out, you can still pivot and fall back on consulting, and you can go for that process. But you can't really do it the other way around where you recruit for consulting first, and if consulting doesn't work out, it's too late to go back and recruit for investment banking, at least at the top banks. Because by then, by junior year, when consulting recruiting is done, all the top banks are already done hiring as well, so they're not going to even talk to you, right? The other thing to know too is that consulting firms, they hire less people for full-time from their recruiting class, meaning they only fill about a third to half, I believe, or maybe it's half to 2/3. Don't quote me on that, but I spoke to my friend who is an expert on this. He basically runs a similar company to Wall Street Mastermind, but he helps students get into management consulting. So I specifically asked him about this, and he said that the top consulting firms out there, like the MBBs, right, the McKinsey, Bain, BCGs, they only hire, I want to say, about half to 2/3 of their full-time associate consultants from their summer intern class. That means that they still hired the other half from people who didn't do a summer internship in consulting. So that means that even if you did a summer internship in banking first for your junior summer, and then you decided, hey, actually, I want to switch over to consulting at the end of your summer, like, because who knows, maybe you do a summer in banking and you realize, man, I hate banking, I don't really want to do that. You can still pivot over and recruit for consulting, and there will be plenty of jobs left for you to recruit for. Versus, let's say if you did consulting for your junior summer, and at the end of it, you decide, oh, actually, I don't really like consulting, I want to go for banking. The banks have already filled most of their classes with their summer interns. Like I said, 80 to 90% of the offers go to their summer intern. So now it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get in. And so that's why this article here says, like, hey, interestingly, it seems very easy to go from banking to consulting and less easy to move in the opposite direction. There are plenty more people at McKinsey who used to work for Goldman Sachs, but far fewer at Goldman Sachs who used to work for McKinsey, right? And this is absolutely what we've seen as well, right? In fact, I actually know someone personally who did a summer internship at Goldman Sachs, then went to McKinsey for full time, and then now he's running his own startup, which is very, very successful, and they've raised like tens of millions of dollars, right? He's the CEO of that company. But my point is, regardless, I digress. But my point is, you have more optionality if you start in banking first. So if you're not sure, then the most important thing is to have optionality to move around, because you're not certain which career you want yet, right? So you want to start in banking, and then if you love banking, great, stay in banking. If you don't like banking, switch to consulting. If you do it the other way around, one, you're going to have less options, and two, because you can't recruit for banking if you recruit for consulting first, but also secondly, if you try consulting for someone and you end up hating it, it's going to be hard for you to switch to the other thing, right? And so, in my opinion, that would be the smart thing to do. But again, obviously, this is only if you're on the fence between the two, okay? If you're not on the fence and you know definitively one is better than the other in your eyes, then you should just put 100% of what you got into that thing, because, you know, it's better to go all in on one thing and do your best at it than to kind of like split your attention between two different things, right? But if you're on the fence, then I would say to maximize the probability of you getting into at least one of these two very, very great careers, start with banking. That's going to give you the most chances to get into at least one of these top firms, okay? So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And look, if you can't figure out like which one is better for you, like I said, there's plenty of these resources online or articles about which one is better. And, you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt when you read these, depending on who's writing it. Like some of these websites, they're, you know, trying to get you to pay for their services. And so they're going to tell you that whatever industry they're helping you with is going to be the better industry, right? And you might say that about me as well. You might say that I'm biased and I'm telling you to go for banking first because, you know, I'm helping people get into banking. Sure, I'm a little bit biased, but look, like I said, I don't really care what you want to go for. I'm pretty neutral, but just stating the facts, you can do your own research too and verify that everything I'm saying is true. Banking recruiting happens earlier. That's my first point. The second thing is, it's easier to recruit for full-time in consulting than it is in banking if you didn't do a summer internship in that industry in the first place. Okay, that can also be verified. And then the last thing is, there are more bankers that go into consulting and there are very few consultants that go into banking. Okay, so those three things I want you to think about. And if you don't believe me, go verify yourself. And then just make sure that you end up doing whatever is best for you. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys out. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for more customized advice that's tailored for your specific situation, then I invite you to book a free strategy session with our team at the link below. We'll talk to you soon.